Peace and prosperity, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. And today we have this beautiful girl, Nala, here again. And what we are going to be working on today with Nala is a few things all kind of jumbled in one, right? That's kind of how I like to work. My concepts in my training, I don't necessarily, most of the time, sometimes I do focus on one thing, but most of the time I am implementing or I am shaping behaviors for multiple things at one time, right? And the way I do that is I make sure that the things that I want the dog to do, they're all synchronized. So they're not so far-fetched or so far from each other to where the concept of it makes it harder for the dog to grasp congruently, because they're just totally two different ends of the spectrum, right? So, and I'll give you an example of what I mean. So what we're doing today, we are working on the recall. We are working on the place command. Now, the place command for me means come to my side. Some people use heel, right? I don't necessarily like the word heel. Nothing wrong with it per se. I just don't like it, right? So I don't really use it. I like place, because when I say place, to me it's just a little bit more fitting for what I'm asking the dog to do, right? Now, that place can also be universal for me telling the dog to go to their place, whatever that place is, right? But if we're on a leash and I say place, that means come to my side, right? Or if we're outside somewhere and you're off the leash and I say place, that means come to my left side, and preferably for me, come to my side, but preferably for me, my left side, because that is my weaker side and that is the hand that I typically am controlling the leash with, right? And most people are right-handed, so it just makes sense to control the leash with your left hand. That way it leaves your dominant hand open to do other things that you need to do with that hand, right? So anyway, Miss Nala here, we're gonna be working on it. We literally just started working on it today, so it's not anything we've been working on for a very long time. But I guarantee you, with some consistency, some diligence, some persistence, and patience, over the next few days, she's gonna pick up this concept fairly quick, because she's a smart dog, right? So, and as always, we're making her work for her kibble. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera, but this is nothing but a kibble. It's not a special treat or anything like that. This is literally her food that we have to feed her every single day. So we might as well use it to our advantage, right? So let's get the job done. All right, Miss Nala, let's work. Okay, I need you to come over here, ma'am. Yes, absolutely. Good girl, yes. Good girl. I'm also, oh yes. So I think I explained it, but let me tell you again, what we're teaching is the place command. We're teaching the recall into the place command, right? By default, the recall is going to be worked, right? And then we're also teaching the free command, right? So these are all things, these are all concepts that we're teaching in this particular session, right? So let's get it started. Hey. Free. Good girl. That's a good girl. Yes. Nala, place. Hey, sit. Good girl. That's a good girl. Right? Now I want you to see how I'm steering her with the lead into the position that I want her to be in. Now here's the most important thing. I'm not looking for her to be perfect today. I'm not looking for her to be snappy, head up. I'm not looking for her to do that. She doesn't really need to do that, right? That's more of a performance type obedience, right? Which is nothing wrong with it, right? But we don't need her to perform. We need her to be efficient, right? We need her to be reliable, right? So right now, I'm not looking for her to be super snappy and super quick. I just want to implement the concept. I want to shape the behavior. So I'm using the leash, I'm using my verbal, and I'm using physical, right? I'm using physical, which is the leash. I'm using verbal, right, which I'm giving the command as I'm physically putting her in the position that I want her to be in. And then I'm also using visual, right? All three of these things together will make it much easier for the dog to pick up the concept, right? Free. Good girl, yes. That's a good girl. Free. Good girl. Nala, place. Right there. Good girl. Yes. Sit. Good girl. That's a good girl. Nala, yes. That's a good girl. Oh, yes. Nala, place. Oh, messed that one up. Nala, place. Sit. Good girl. That's a good girl. So hopefully you guys can see that on camera, right? It's kind of a lot going on, right? And you really have to get a rhythm and get synchronized with being able to use all your digits. That's why if you notice, I have the leash tied around my waist, right? Because it allows me to free a hand up to where I don't have to actually hold the leash, try to feed the kibble, right? Give the hand signals. It's a lot, right? So you want to reduce that as much as you possibly can. So I use my waist as the holder of the leash, and then my hand is free to be able to maneuver however I need to maneuver, right? So let's do it again, right? I know. Free. Good girl. Nala, place. Oh, she got wrapped up in the leash, of course. See, this is the part that a lot of the time when training dogs, most people don't show, right? Because they only want to show the perfect, they only want to show the perfect reps. But see, real trainers understand that most of the time it looks like this, right? We only, when people get their dogs back, right, they get all the pretty stuff, they get the glamorous stuff, right? See, they don't have to experience all the ugly stuff, all the behind the scenes stuff, right? But 80% of training is what you just saw, leashes getting tangled up. It's just a whole lot, man. So, that's where you have to make sure that you're patient, right? That way it's fair for the dog, it's fair for yourself, so you're not taking yourself too serious, right? You got to make sure that you're having fun with this, because the moment you stop having fun with training dogs, you need to stop training dogs, because it will stress you out if you don't have fun doing it, right? So you got to make it fun for the dog, and you got to make it fun for yourself, right? Very important, right? So let's do it again. Free. Good girl. Nala, place. Sit. Good girl. That's a good girl. Yeah, that's a good girl. Yes, it is. Free. Nala, place. Sit. Good girl. See, those reps are looking much better. Once you get your rhythm, it starts looking better and better, right? Good girl. Yes, good girl. That's a good girl. Free. Nala, place. Good girl. Yes. Sit. Good girl. That's a good girl. Yes. That's a good girl. Nala, place. That was an ugly one. It's all right. We'll do it again, right? I want you guys to see this. I want you to understand that training is not always pretty. Every rep is not always perfect, right? Now, place. Sit. Good girl. There we go. So there you go, folks. This is how we begin to implement the recall, the place command. Obviously, we're working on the sit command. And then when we take it up another level, we'll add down into this routine as well, right? So you got free, you got sit, you got place, and you got recall, which is come, right? When I call her name, when I say her name, one, I'm asking for her attention, and also I'm telling her I want you to come to me, right? Good girl, yes. I know, good girl. Place. Sit. Good girl. There we go. That's a good girl. All right, beautiful people. So look, as always, if you have any questions, make sure you leave them below. If you have not liked this video so far, it's very important you like this video. And I am notorious for doing this myself when I'm looking at other people's videos, so I have to consciously tell myself to like the video because it's very important for the YouTube algorithm. And look, it doesn't cost you anything. I mean, really, it's actually doing you a favor because it probably costs you about 2 calories to hit that little thumbs up, right? Which we can all stand to lose a few calories, right? So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're sharing this for other people that need to, that can benefit from this information. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you have not done so far. And look, folks, as always, until the next video, you are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. Stay safe, better yet, stay dangerous. Peace and prosperity. Nala, place. Sit. Good girl. Yes, that's a good girl. Free. Good girl. Nala, place. Come on. Sit. Good girl. That's a good girl. Yes. Nala, place. Sit. Good girl. That's a good girl.